See, the problem is when you're not thinking so much, then it's also a little bit hard to like speak. But I want to make a video about how to regulate the nervous system using consciousness. You know, it's essential to know that you are consciousness and that the ego, in order to escape from the ego, or in other words, recognize that you're not the drama, and then, go into a state in which your nervous system can now actually regulate, because when you are unable to disidentify from the ego, then you're simply like, you're trapped. And the cycle of re-triggering, re-traumatizing yourself through thinking, because you're identified with the thinking, will just go on and on and on. And it will never stop. So, how to stop? When you are just relaxing, and by that I don't mean that you have to achieve a special state of relaxation if you don't feel relaxed yet. Just mean do nothing. That's what I mean when I say relax. When you don't do anything, for example, right now, you can do it right now. You don't do anything, which means you don't put in any effort to watch in a specific way. You just are. In this beingness, you can recognize how there is an awareness already that you don't have to become, that you are, in which everything appears, your thoughts, your perceptions, my voice, your feelings, sounds, smells, everything happens. Just obviously. Right? And now when you stay here, you can also just relax and wait and do nothing until the next thought appears. Now the difference will be when you see that thought, then you're not the thought. Usually when you're identified, you think that you are the thought, which makes you feel like you are the thinker even. But when you're in the open space of awareness that receives the thought and sees how it just comes and goes by and leaves, you see that there is no thinker. It's just an observation, an open space of awareness in which a thought just comes. And then it is pretending or acting as if there is a thinker of that thought just because it says I'm thinking. But it's just a thought that says I'm thinking, but there is just the thought itself. It's not an I that's doing the thinking. It's just pretending. So you can see how it comes and goes. It's a different state. You can either contract yourself, consciousness contracts itself to this small, limited thought. And it seems as if I'm this thought, I'm the thinker. Or it can just do nothing and receive the thought and see how obviously I'm not the thought, I'm like the aquarium in which the fish is swimming through, by. Just like a little fish. And yeah. You see that, and then you realize I'm not the mind. You have to understand that your problem is the mind. You see, when there is no mind, there is no you. So, you are not creating thoughts, thoughts are creating you. You are not using the mind. The mind is just, it's in a way, it can be a useful tool. But when you get traumatized, the mind is also like a self-defense mechanism that is creating something called the ego. And then it seems as if you are that ego, but it's actually just the ego is just a function of a self-defensive mind. And when you are just observing as the pure space of awareness that the mind is happening, then you seem to have the choice to say, not say, but it's just a choice, right? I'm just using words now. You can choose to say, I see that I'm thinking, and I recognize that the thinking is just reminding me of a problem that happened maybe in the past, or a problem that could happen in the future, but it's not even certain that it could happen this way. So I see how it's just useless thinking. It's just wasted energy. So why not just be here, without thoughts? So the pure space of awareness sees how unnecessary this function of thinking and worrying is, and then just in the recognition of how useless it is, it just stops. And you can do that by being aware of the breath. You can do that by being aware of the feeling that you're trying to escape from in your body. Just be aware of something that's actually real. But don't hold on to an object. Just be the open space of awareness that's already present, but if you need an anchor, you can be aware of an object, but don't hold on to it like, just know that the space of awareness is already present, but when you use the awareness that you are to recognize that you have been lost in thoughts again, you're worrying again, just come back to the body or something. And when you're in the body again, then that's when the nervous system regulates itself. So I want to describe the process a little bit shorter now. You basically just do nothing, and you see and you recognize that you are already this open space of awareness. You're not the mind. You see that there is a mind operating, and you see how useless it is because it's not. You're not using it in a practical way. You're just thinking nonsense. So then, because you see how useless it is, you become present. Present in your body. Most of us have been traumatized. Not most, I would say everyone. Every single one has been traumatized in childhood. And we didn't know how to deal with the emotions. So we didn't know how to regulate ourselves. So in order to defend ourselves, we escaped in the mind. We try to think about how we can prevent the same situation from happening again, which makes us think about it all the time, which probably makes us experiencing all the time the same thing, So it's like the mind doesn't know what it is trying to save us, but it's actually doing the exact opposite. So you basically see the mechanism and stop. You see? So you basically radically decide to stop telling yourself this story. And when there's no thought, then there's no you. The thing that's left is not the me, it's not the ego, it's the pure awareness, which is not personal. It is just aware. It is the light. It is the aliveness, the thing that does not die, in which the ego appears. But when there's no thought, there's no ego, because it's not the me that's thinking, it's the thought that's egoing. and stay with it. And you'll see how your breathing pattern will also change. You know, when I was a person that was always in the head because I was trying to like figure everything out in the mind. I was like addicted to mental stimuli, and it turned me into a stiff person. I wasn't chill. So, and almost nobody is. Most people are like so constantly stiff. And I totally understand it, because it's like just for the mental stimuli and trying to protect myself. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% fully regulated, but I'm pretty chill, pretty regulated. So I was so much in my head. And at a certain point, I just had to like decide to no longer be in the head. And that's basically it. So it's like the story of myself, and you kind of want to solve it. You want to explain things. You recall memories from the past and kind of like look at them again in a different light. You try to like understand it in a better light. But then at a certain point, you kind of have to like give up and realize that I'm a living being. I'm breathing. I'm alive. My heart is pumping blood. I can hear birds chirping. There's no time to worry about the story of me. I want to enjoy life. And then what happens is the way I'm breathing also changed. Like my breath was always so shallow, and it was always so stiff, and my breath was just from the nose to like here, but never deeper. And it wouldn't have felt natural to breathe deeper. I could force myself to breathe all the way down to the bottom of my lungs, but it wouldn't have felt so natural. But now it's like naturally feels like I'm breathing down all the way down to my belly. But it's happening naturally because thinking about you, which is a construct of the mind, is what's recalling the trauma, the fear, the worry, the shame, the guilt. And then you can never let it go because it's your identity. You cannot separate you, ego, from its past experiences. It is one. So the ego cannot heal from that. The ego has to recognize that, yeah, I am my past. I am my past. So, by being aware of the present moment and refusing to think, not in an aggressive way, but just in a way that like recognizes how useless it is to actually think. It comes out of clarity. You can let go of the false you. Try it.